Okay, that brings us to our next track, Backyard Lover. Grant, this one came in from you.
Yeah, Mercy Lemon was an artist I didn't know till this year. The way I was pointed towards this artist and this album was Pitchfork have these clips on Instagram and probably on their website that's what's a perfect 10 album to another artist. And I'm intrigued by that a lot to have an artist I like or don't like talk about something that they think is a perfect piece of music. And that came in my feed and I stopped and listened to it. I didn't know Mercy Lemon, but she said this Palace Music split or the 7 inch with two songs that I love those songs. I was in. I was like, okay. And we've talked about before where like Free Range was introduced to me, or somebody Low Melda introduces me to a band, or Will Johnson says he likes this band, so then I'm in. This was inverse, where an artist I don't know says they liked and were influenced by a band I do love, and I was like, okay, now I have a high probability of liking your music. And from the outset, this album by Mercy Lemon just nailed me, and it was. I think last year, best of 2023, we had Anders Parker, and we talked about how the Americana kind of side of things, I just got to keep coming back to. But for whatever reason, I'm not finding it or I'm not looking for it. But this one scratched all the itches for me for kind of the Americana I wanted. And Backyard Lover was one of the more epic kind of shredding songs that her band just took it away. The Watch Me Drive Them Dogs Wild, the whole album start to finish has been super enjoyable. The litmus test for me is if Summer comments that she likes the music, or she's like, is this The Cure? And I'm like, yeah, it's The Cure. She's like, this is awesome. Or who are we listening to? And I'm like, okay, this can't be you want me to turn it off kind of question. She likes this. So I was like, it's Mercy Lemon. She's like, yeah, okay. So Mercy Lemon starts to become the dining room favorite. But I really I've enjoyed her style. I like her voice. The music is familiar enough to where it's in a genre that I like, but she's putting her spin with her band on it. There's a video with Backyard Lover that was fun and quirky and this unique kind of aesthetic that if you're watching this on YouTube, you can catch that right after this. But it was an introduction to an album, and I always think of a complete thought. The album feels like a complete work of art to me. I always really appreciate that. I think she's just one to watch. She's got some earlier stuff that I checked out her earlier album, but this new one really floored me in a way that I want to see where she goes next. There's one other thing. I tell you what, the chorus, or maybe leading into the chorus right before it wails, there's just a well placed curse word is awesome, and she does it here. And I just thought it was like to the point where I'm like, kids, you're going to hear these words, and I'm not turning this one down. You know how to handle these things. But Dottie and Skip would always look at me when I'd play the song in the house, and Skip would be like, Dad. And I'm like, it's a great song. We're letting it go. Let it roll. So yeah, that's Mercy Lemon, one of the best albums of the year. Watch Me Drive Them Dogs Wild. Please check her out. Brett, we'll throw it over to you.
That was going to be the main point I was going to make was the album title. Watch Me Drive Them Dogs Wild. It definitely felt like there's multiple meanings in that. Wild dogs, and then driving dogs wild, stirring them up, getting them to do fun, wild, crazy things. Yeah, love clever album titles that in and of themselves are stories. Also love the naming that the album feels like a complete thought that tracks back to Scott when it's happening. That's a cool songwriter kind of scene. Did you catch where they're from? Pittsburgh. Awesome. Yeah, it's interesting I love that we're all over the map. I love that music is coming from all over the world in pockets, as well as like your expected locations like LA and New York. So yeah, dig this album. Love the sound. I'm very interested in learning more about Mercy Lemon and all of what they're up to. It's good to know that there's a whole catalog there, and I'm excited to get into it a little bit more. This album I only spun once, but enjoyed it when I listened to it. Definitely felt all the things you're naming about it being good dinner music is fun. And it's also fun to hear your story about the well-placed curse word and the justification that you're given to your kids. Makes me think about a story that I heard, not from our family, but about a Sicilian grandfather who told the person who was telling me the story that he had slapped his hand, the grandson's hand when the grandson was taking an apple from a tree of one of their neighbors. And then immediately after slapping his hand, he took him down the street to the rich people's land and said, you take apples from those trees. So like this, like you're doing the wrong thing in the wrong place. Do the wrong thing in the right place, which is taking from the rich, which I thought was funny. And it just made me think of that vibe. Great pick. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great pick. I think there's not enough new Americana that I'm aware of these days for a genre that I like quite a lot. I don't really know where to go get it these days and don't know where the top artists are. So I appreciate that you bring this one forward. I liked the honest take. There's some earnestness and sincerity in these lyrics that I like quite a lot. And then, yeah, September release. So it's pretty new and appreciate that you're bringing it forward. It's a beautiful song and it lands in a great spot. And I think to the point that you made, Brett, about not New York or LA or whatever, I think these days you don't need to be near a recording studio. You don't need to. Even there was an artist earlier, and you said it had been produced here in Asheville, or like it was recorded somewhere, it was produced in Asheville, and then maybe mixed or something else somewhere else. And these days, it seems like you can do it that way, which I think opens the aperture up for bands to be from anywhere. And I think that's a nice part of the bigger story.
Yeah, I love that too. It's easier to share your music. Excited to see if she tours. The other part of this too is inspiration to go find out how much a slide steel guitar costs. And I tell you what, I have a short list of musical instruments I want to buy, and that's on the top of it because these kind of songs really make me want to learn how to do that. They just soared in this one, and I thought it was a epic folk piece of song for everybody. So glad to add it.
There you go. Epic and soaring. We'll give it a spin. This is Mercy Lemon.